Hello my friends, if you like my work, please remember to click thumb up, subscribe to my channel or hit the notification bell to be informed about new videos. I'd just like to say thank you to all my patrons, please join them if you can, the link is in the description below. I like this model the way it looks unpainted, and for a moment I thought about leaving it like that, but it wouldn't please the eye as much as painted and finished. The more so that I had already planned how to paint it and in which direction weathering should go. So as a reminder, this is how it looks in all its glory with all the extras I completed in the previous episode. If you haven't watched it, you can find the link to the film and additionally to the open the box in the description. Preparing the model is quite an important stage in the whole work. I generally like to minimize the number of parts, but some are definitely better to paint separately. I'm not talking about wheels or trucks because that's out of the question, but more about exhausts, antennas, extra tracks or the commander's turret. It's definitely more convenient to paint these elements individually, especially when they are small. I could have left the mantlet cover and not glued it before I painted the shark's mouth, but in my haste I already glued it. Note that I'm using blue tack to temporarily mount individual components. If the model should look good in the photo presentation, it's necessary because some parts don't give up easily and like to live their individual lives. For certainty and quick recognition I mark the right track with a piece of wire. This has the advantage of being easier to hold while painting. If you already know my projects, you've probably noticed that I often use long wooden sticks to hold parts while painting. Yes, it works, but I often take off and reapply some elements depending on the need. Here you can find that things don't always go according to plan. I forgot that this drill is already blunt and won't drill a hole. And I wanted to do it quickly. I have to use a hand drill. For the antennas I prepared a simple holder from a toothpick and a piece of wire. I attached all additional tracks on sticks because I will be painting them mainly from the visible side. Finally, on the front plate there will be some supplement made of tarpaulin, clods of earth and dried grass, so I'm not worried about the other side at all. As I forgot to do it earlier, now I specially bought a dozen or so nuts to mount them in the models that I will be building soon. This simple method, which I started using a long time ago, works great. The screw needs to be sanded a little so that it has a slightly rough surface. CA glue is the best glue to fix it in the model. It will stay there forever, but it's not a problem because it will be completely invisible. The model holds up very well, but if you really want to tear the screw out of the welds, it's possible of course. The only problem is that it may end up with plastic damage. When all parts are ready for further operation, they can be cleaned of dirt and debris from the construction phase. I always use model degreaser, which is perfect for this task. First of all, it removes dirt from every surface, and secondly it dries, and to be more precise, it evaporates in a few seconds. This allows to start painting immediately after cleaning because the model is dry and its surfaces are ready for paint application. I covered all metal elements with a special primer for metal. One coat is enough for the paint to adhere well to the surface. I covered the entire model with a black primer. I use AK Interactive product, which I apply straight from the can. And I start painting with the wheels and more specifically with the rubber rims, which I paint with the appropriate shade. I decided to use mission model paints for this. Generally, if we use a different shade of grey, it will also be a good solution, but why look for it when we have a ready product? For quick application of colors I use Quick Wheel Mask. They are designed for RFM models and thanks to them the whole process will run smoothly. First, the rear part of the wheels will be covered with red oxide primer. I know that it's not entirely in line with historical facts, but for the needs of the model and to obtain an interesting color scheme, I will close my eyes a bit. The bottom of the hull will also be red, so the same as the bottom of the fenders. Returning to the wheels, I switched sides and continued painting, but now with Dunkelgelb paint. Exactly the same as the red side, the sand side is painted in the mask. The idler and driving wheels received the same layer of paint. Silver abrasions will be painted later. As a result, this is how the painted wheels look like. It seems to me that it can't be better. Certainly not with a brush or a plastic ruler with circles. Another element is the heat-resistant layer on the gun barrel. Generally, I always paint it dark grey, but not as dark as Panzergrau. Here I mixed 1 drop of black and 3 drops of white. The main color of the entire model is sand from Real Color series from AK Interactive. I covered all the surfaces of the model with it, applying several thin layers. On the side covers I first applied a base color and then brightened it up a bit by adding a drop of very light sunshade. Generally the difference is visible to the naked eye, but I don't know if the camera caught it enough to show it. Looking for inspiration for camo covers, I reached for 2 books where you can find interesting painting schemes for many vehicles, including STUG IV, but also STUG III and Panzer IV, because I checked them too. There is so much to choose from and it's hard to decide on something specific. Before I started painting the camo colors on the side shields, I decided to make some mess on the wheels. Some of them were covered with thin green lines. Of course, after weathering, the visibility of these stripes can drastically decrease, but there will always be something visible here and there. When painting camo, it's worth remembering about such a simple thing as a range of the arms of the soldier who made it. If it was done in a field workshop, then all accuracy can be thrown into the trash bin. I'm sure that very often it was done quickly without following any painting rules, just so that the vehicle wouldn't be in one color. On my model I decided on 2 types of camo. It will be green and brown on the shields and only green on the hull. The size of the spots will also vary. Thin and irregular on the skirts and larger and rounder on the hull. I think it will look interesting and unusual. Painting covers requires a lot of precision and airbrush control. The paint must be well diluted, so it's worth doing some tests on white paper beforehand, because then you can see if the paint stream is properly mixed with the thinner. I try to make the paint have a rather runny consistency and allow me to paint very thin lines. This way it's easy to create the camo pattern you see on my model on the side covers. To paint large spots you don't have to focus so much, but it's also worth keeping a good dilution of paint. Irregularity is equally important. Generally, the whole camo of this type is painted quite quickly. Next part are details. They are more laborious than the previous stage. They require more focused paint changes and often also minor corrections. In German vehicles I spend most of my time painting tools. They are usually glued to the model and makes the work a bit more difficult, but it's still more convenient for me than painting these elements separately. I prepared the exhaust with the base color for stronger weathering in the next episode. I painted the towing cables silver and thus they are also prepared for the next work. With the already prepared paint I also painted the metallic abrasions on the wheels. Some screws on the hull are also brightened with silver. It gives a nice effect and you only need a dozen places to do the job. Also on the side covers I do the same type of work. Spare trucks come in two different types, so their painting will also look a bit different. The standard trucks are painted a very dark brown. After drying with the accelerator I added a wash of diluted dark brown. Thus I have preliminary weathering, but of course it's far from complete. I also painted wheel marks on them and did a brown wash once again. On the Ostketten I applied a special mix of paints that I once prepared especially for trucks. As a result it's a very dark brown with a bit of metallic sheen. I applied this paint both to short extra sections and to entire trucks. Of course this is the base color and probably their final appearance will be different from what you see now. A thin layer of paint didn't affect the properties of these trucks at all. As a reminder, this is a set of quick trucks, a product built using the snap method. The link to the manufacturer's store at the same time the only seller can be found in the description of this video. Before I started painting the last elements I applied a few decals on the model. I used the name from the set as well as the crosses. I cut out the numbers from my stickers that I had from other models. And here is one fix. You see number 103, but it's actually number 104. I accidentally damaged the sticker after applying it to the model. And since I didn't have any more of that number, I changed it to 4. I used a special liquid from VMS, which is Decals Set and Fix, to stick all the decals well. The most spectacular and noticeable element of the painting of this vehicle is the shark's mouth. To paint it you only need 3 colors, a steady hand and a good brush. Oh, and a pencil might come in handy. And see how to do it. I think my comment is redundant here. The only thing I can suggest is that there is a lot of inspiration and ready-made patterns to copy from the internet. You can even buy ready-made decals with graphics of this type. Traditionally, and as I said in the beginning, I would like to thank again to all my current patrons. It would be superb if you joined this group. Your support is highly appreciated and helps me do what I do here at coldemonspl and what I love the most. Thanks to this I will try to give you some interesting content to keep you informed and entertained. It's very easy because now there is a chance to enter this superb group without pay a penny for 7 days free trial. This way you can check whether you like what I published for my patrons or not. From technical side you need to join for free by filling all gaps patron wants, and then you can surf on my page with no limits, watch and download all superb higher resolution pictures, watch progress shots, check stories with unpublished in other media's models, read the articles and enjoy other benefits, but about the 7th day you need to decide if you stay with me or go back home. Thank you very much. It turned out pretty nice, didn't it? It wouldn't be much better to paint it on the cover not glued to the model, but if you don't remember about some things, then you have to get tired. To sum up today's episode, what can I say? It's good, and it will be even better, I'm sure of that. In the next episode I will do weathering and everything will be clear. If you like what I do, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, click like and write a comment. This will surely be very helpful. That's all for today, see you next time, cheers!